This is Natural Powerlifting Radio. Deadlifts, chicken nuggets, video games. This is Check My Total, a powerlifting podcast with Timothy Payne and Andrew Hinson.
Welcome everybody to another episode. Once again, it's just me and your boy Andrew. And today we're going to talk about carb loading. So about a month ago, the Check My Total Instagram, we received a direct message from a lady named Laura. She's doing her first competition in December. So she sent us a message, basically asking, how do carbs work and how do you load them for a competition? So that's what we're going to get into today.
Yep. I guess to start off, we should kind of go over kind of what carbs do for you and kind of what their purpose is from an athletic perspective and kind of a nutritional perspective.
Yeah.
So let's see. So basically, I think it's pretty common. Most people know carbs are one of the 3 macronutrients: proteins, carbs, fats. I looked up and I found that you get 4 calories per gram of carb. I think that's right. So I didn't realize this, but all carbs eaten pass through the liver.
Yep.
I actually did not know that. I did not know that they all went through the liver. Which I'll be honest, I don't actually know what the liver does a whole lot. So
I think everything has to go through your liver.
Oh. Well.
But anyways, so like Andrew just said, it's 4 calories per carb. Well, 4 calories per gram of carbs. I want to say fats was something like 6 per gram, 6 calories, and I think proteins was 9 calories per gram per protein. So you're probably asking yourself, well, if these other 2 things, proteins and fats, are higher calories per gram, why aren't we, focusing on eating more fats and proteins? Well, the reason is because although carbs produce the least amount of calories per gram, they're used first when it comes to doing high-intensity performance. So, for example, in powerlifting, where you're trying to, make a real big burst to explode, the first source of energy your body's going to use is carbs.
Mm-hmm. The reason for that is, so the carbs go through the liver and then they go through some probably scientific process, but they basically get converted to glucose.
Glycogen.
Yeah, and then it gets sent out to the blood and then they store that as glycogen.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and then sometimes, carbs can be stored as fat, but if you're training hard and you have these intense training sessions, that's generally not the case. Now, it's a little different if you're eating a ton of calories and like just carbing it up all over the place. That's a little different. But if you're just eating carbs on how you normally eat if you're training hard, it's not generally going to be stored as fat.
Right. And just to piggyback off of what you said, I think your liver actually does store a little bit of glycogen, but mostly your glycogen is stored in your muscles. So you can think as your muscles as kind of being a gas tank. And the reason you're trying to carb load, which we'll get into in a little bit, is to fill up your gas tank. So, the more gas you have, the farther you can go. or in this case, the harder you can work out.
Yeah. So your muscles use this glycogen, and your brain also uses a lot of it too. So your brain will use a lot of the carbs that you eat. And so it's kind of like especially what the body goes to first for its energy.
Yeah, the way I understand it is that, yeah, you have the glycogen storage in your muscles, but like once those are kind of tapped out and full, you have your blood glycogen that's, going through your system. And the blood glycogen is what your nervous system feeds off of. So you want the blood glycogen going through your system so your brain knows to tell your muscles when to contract at the right time. And then, spend the energy and explode.
Now, I don't know if you found anything on this, but I found an article. This article I think it's from Juggernaut Training Systems, but it was this guy talking about like if you're doing low impact stuff, how your body uses ATP and doesn't really tap into any glycogen storage when you're doing low impact kind of stuff, like basically like a normal walk, like just a kind of a slow walk, or I think he mentions like one throw at a time. I guess if you're like a shot putter, like one throw and not like extremely long rest times.
Right. Yeah, the two videos I'm pulling from are, the Juggernaut Training Systems, and then another video called Fit Busters, were the two main ones that I watched and where I got a lot of my information from. But what Andrew was saying, you mostly are carb loading and using your glycogen storage when you're doing more endurance type movements. So if you break it down for powerlifting, you're not using as much glycogen with low volume work. So if you're going to the gym and you're going to hit, a set or two of threes, or if you're going in there to hit, just a max for the day, you're not using as much energy to do that for a long period of time. So it's more important to carb up on days where you're doing high volume. So, 5 sets of 5, 6 sets of 8, things like that. Which I know we're talking about training when she asked about competition, but this is all leading to how you need a load for competition.
Yeah.
Another way you can think about it is carbs are instant energy, proteins are kind of medium energy. You'll pull from your proteins, the longer you go. I guess you could say if you're doing like a 2 or 3 hour workout, which really nobody should do, that's when you start tapping into your proteins. And when you have fat on your body, that's your long-term energy. So, if you're sitting at a desk all day, like Andrew, and typing on a computer, you're using, which it all depends on how much fat you have on your body. But that's what your body's using to sustain for longer periods of time, is the fat.
Yeah.
So,
Also, I found, which I kind of knew this going in, but kind of like with most nutrition stuff, carb timing your meals is not that important. There are a couple advantages. It's like about an hour and a half before a workout. Especially if you haven't eaten that day, or like you're coming off of a fast. But there doesn't seem to be, at least what I was able to find, there doesn't seem to be like a hard time you have to eat your carbs before or after, or else it won't work.
yeah, so optimally, you want to be eating the right amount of carbs for what you're doing each day in order for carb loading to work for a competition. So if you're not eating the correct amount of carbs and you're just depleting your glycogen levels, then when you try to do your carb load, all you're really doing is filling your gas tank back up. You're not topping it off or trying to add more,
Yeah.
like more to what's already full, if that makes sense. You're just trying to replenish what you've already lost.
Yeah.
So, like Andrew was saying, the timing doesn't necessarily matter unless you're already to that max point, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It just, yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem to be a whole lot of time sensitive stuff. They say some studies point to you have like a 6 hour window in post workout, and it seems that if you eat carbs within a 6 hour window after you work out, it glycogen can refill faster as
Right.
opposed to if you wait longer. But I I only found a few articles saying that, and honestly, a 6 hour window after a workout's pretty huge. So surely you've eaten something 6 hours
Yeah.
after a workout. So I mean, that really shouldn't be that big of a deal.
And personally, I eat carbs all the time. Like, I know a lot of people are afraid of carbs, especially if you're trying to diet, but you got to understand carbs are what is fueling you. Because like I said, turns into glycogen, your glycogen turns into ATP. ATP is what you use to move. Like that's when you contract your muscles, you need ATP to do that. Um, so I guess another important point is that when you are doing your carb load or eating carbs, that you're eating the right kind of carbs. So if you just weighed in on Friday and you're trying to carb load for the next day, really going to the pizza buffet and eating a bunch of pizza isn't the way you want to do it. You want to eat clean things like fruit. That's really a clean carb. Starches, potatoes, things like that. It's more important to get clean fuel than it is to get junky fuel. Because
Yeah.
along with the carbs that you're getting from the pizza, you're also getting all the fat and grease from the cheese and whatever toppings that you put on it.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to carb load, you need to think about what kind of carbs you're taking in.
And the reason you're carb loading in the first place is so that whatever activity you're trying to perform, in this case, 1 rep max, that you have, that you don't hit a wall.
Right,
You don't just like die and piddle out in the middle of your event. And
right.
if you stock up on pizza and greasy food, you might hit that wall a little quicker.
So personally, for powerlifting and even a full power meet, I don't think the sport of powerlifting necessarily needs to have a carb load
I
because
don't
it's
I don't really think so either. And to that point, I think when a lot of power lifters say they're carb loading, I think what they really mean is I'm just replenishing my body because I fasted for a week and a half trying to make weight.
right. And the reason I say that is when you go to a competition, and I'm assuming she's doing a full power meet. I didn't go back and read the message, but let's just assume she's doing a full power meet. Um, your volume is not really that high, but you're exerting yourself, yes, but you're doing 3 maxes throughout the whole day. So counting your warm up and then what 9 attempts,
Yeah.
your volume's still not all that high. And then between events themselves, like between the squat and between the bench, you'll probably have, depending on how large your meet is, an hour or two before you even try to start warming up to do the next event. So you got time to recover there, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So while you're recovering, you're not using that glycogen levels like a marathon runner or swimmer or triathlon person would be using.
Correct. I think, it if you're not close to the top end of your weight class and you want to go into the competition with some maybe more energy and feel a little better, then I think you should stock up on some fruits and some nuts and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
But I don't know. I just don't know if you can call it carb loading in like the traditional sense, because you're not doing something for 90 plus minutes.
I
And
don't think the results are going to be what people think they are. Like
yeah,
carb loading is not going to make or break you during the meet. Now, I think you should go in with a full tank. Like that can't hurt if you're going to carb up. You
yeah,
know, yeah, definitely carb up. But as far as this making you nervous or oh crap, I didn't eat enough carbs. As long as you're eating carbs throughout the week and eating enough carbs to get you through the workout, you'll be fine.
yeah.
I wouldn't stress over carb loading is what I'm trying to say.
I would not either. I think there's more important things going on as far as nutrition for the meat day. I think before, I think the number one thing is, especially depending on the venue, is hydration,
Yes.
because you might not be doing something all the time at a powerlifting meet, but you're going to be sitting there all day, and you're
And
going
in
to
this case, being in the winter months, staying warm.
yes,
Making sure you warm up properly so you don't tear or pull a muscle.
yeah, making sure that your body's retained, because a lot of times what happens is people will like lose a ton of their water supply during the meet, because they'll like pee 1,000 times,
Yeah, that's true.
and they'll get dehydrated and things will start cramping, and it's just not very good. So some hydration and fruits will help with that. And
Yeah.
if you brought some fruits along, but yeah, I think hydration's a much bigger concern. But yeah, I don't think carb, like, honestly, if you I don't have any hard data to back this up, but I would assume that your weight, or the weight you move that day, would probably have very little correlation to carb loading.
Now, on the flip side of all of this, depending on your body fat percentage, it's more important to eat carbs and be eating throughout the day if you have a low body fat percentage.
Yeah, yeah,
Because your body's not taking energy from fat. So you need carbs to just function. We know a guy who I was going to try to get on this podcast, Rob West. He used to be a bodybuilder, natural bodybuilder, but he's one of these 148 guys. And when he's 148, he's shredded. He has like hardly any body fat on him. But he literally has to eat like every couple hours or he can't function.
yeah,
It's just his body burns, such at a high rate that he's got to be constantly eating throughout the day. So if you're one of those type of people, yeah, you need to be constantly eating carbs all day just so you can get through what you're trying to get through.
yeah. That's a good point to bring up. And I think it mainly comes from, like we were saying, if you're cutting weight for this competition, and as soon as you weigh in, yeah, go eat some carbs, fuel up, get your tank back. But getting your tank back to full is not carb loading.
Right.
So now, if you're in the case of you're eating normal, you're not cutting any weight, you're just going in. I mean, I don't know if carb loading is really going to give you much. I mean, because you should be eating food during the day and staying hydrated during the day of the competition. So you'll probably be eating carbs during the day. I don't think a carb load is gonna make or break a bench or a
Right.
deadlift. Uh, I don't think carb loading is gonna do that. Now, maybe if you go into the meet and you just don't eat, then well, that's on you. That probably will affect you.
Right.
Like if you just choose not to eat because you ate a lot the night before or you carb loaded in preparation and you just don't eat all day, then that's not a good idea. You're gonna hit the wall and not have any energy.
Now, throughout the competition, if you're doing like a full power meet or push pull, um, it's good to eat things that are high glycemic, because that way it burns off quicker. So I don't really want to promote this, but drinking like an energy drink or which I'll promote Gatorade. Gatorade's fine. You'll see a lot of people eating like candy. So, anyways, that sugar it's turning into your carbs and ATP so fast that that's what you're burning off real quick.
Hmm.
Um, which might work for powerlifting since, like I said, you're doing short bursts. It's not so much endurance. So, but if I had to give somebody advice, I would say, stop and eat an apple or banana if you feel like you need to eat something. Andrew brought peanut butter sandwiches to the meet.
Yeah.
There's probably more fat than carbs in a peanut butter sandwich. I don't know, but another important thing, since this is her first competition, do stuff that you're familiar with. Like, people think you have to like pig out at the buffet and then you need to eat like a whole lunch meal during the meet. You don't have to do that. Just eat food that you're familiar with, that you know your body won't get upset with. Like if you go to the pizza buffet and you chow down on pizza, but all the cheese and stuff makes you have to sit on the toilet all day, that didn't help you any. Because,
Yeah.
now your stomach's tore up and you can't, you're focusing on that, not focusing on lifting. So eat stuff you're familiar with. I would worry about, especially since this is your first competition, just worry about your technique and hitting your openers. I think that's the biggest thing to be focused on for your first competition.
Yep. And I would just, if you're not cutting weight, I wouldn't worry about carb loading. Just eat how you normally do. Eat till you're full,
Yeah.
and just bring food during the day and just kind of enjoy it. I
Yeah.
I wouldn't really worry about the carb loading. I don't think it's really gonna make or break you.
Yeah. I mean, that's really why we didn't go too in depth with it, because, like I said, as the sport of powerlifting, I don't think carb loading is that important.
Now, I did a little bit of research on carb cycling. This
Well, what you gotta say about that?
this isn't really competition. This is more of just kind of a diet approach. But
So you're
carb
training.
so carb cycling is basically you eat more or less carbs depending on the day or depending on the week or month. People break it up in different segments. Uh, the claim to fame of carb cycling the is that when you cycle carbs, you boost your metabolism and can slow down the creation of fat cells. That is the claim. I don't know if I buy into that. I think when people say carb cycling, Uh, honestly, I think it's just a way for people to kind of help limit their calorie consumption.
Right.
I don't know if I can buy in. I don't think I can buy into carb cycling will like increase your metabolism or like reduce your body's ability to create fat cells and stuff like
Right.
that. I think carb cycling is just a way of saying I ate a lot this day. I didn't eat this much this day. I'm not eating a lot today. I'm going to eat a lot today. Like,
It just depends on what you're doing for the day, is what it all boils down to.
yeah. I think on days of training, have a little extra fuel,
Yep.
And days you're not training, maybe you don't need to eat as much. Uh,
Yep. Just think about it like you're going on a trip, vacation trip. If Andrew's got to drive 8 hours to North Carolina, he needs a full tank of gas. But if he's driving to work for 30 minutes, all he needs is like 1/8 tank of a gas.
yep. And that's
So,
math for you.
yeah. So if I'm doing 8 sets of eight on squat, I probably need, a full tank of gas. So I might eat a few extra bananas or a couple more potatoes or something that day.
Mm-hmm.
And
So,
then we didn't really get into this, but talk about different foods to eat. You could also, eat oatmeal and things like that last longer throughout the day. That's kind of a different subject.
yeah.
But yeah, Miss Laura, I wouldn't worry about it too much, but do eat some carbs. Just, you don't have to go crazy with it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I've never done carb loading for any competition I've ever done. Uh, I just don't really see the need for it. Uh,
You just
yeah,
gotta listen to your own body and know when you need like a pick me up. And that has more to do with the actual day of the competition.
that's true.
Like if I can get away with just eating like a light breakfast and then not even eating anything until like after the bench press, that's pretty good for me. Like
It's true.
I don't like eating throughout a competition. I don't like having all that stuff weighing on my stomach trying to lift heavy weight.
Yeah, I don't even follow my own advice. I eat McDonald's chicken nuggets.
Which was my advice.
Yeah, I don't follow my own nutritional advice. I eat McNuggets on my competition day. I always
Andrew
have and I always will.
Andrew was talking to his parents, and his parents were like, "We're going to McDonald's. What do you want?" And Andrew was like, "How about getting hamburgers and stuff?" And I was walking past him. I was like, "You might want to get some chicken nuggets because I think it'd feel better on your stomach than having all this hamburger meat in there." So Andrew got him some chicken nuggets, and they're probably less greasy too. I mean, I know
Yeah,
it's a chicken nugget, but you get what I'm saying.
I'm telling you, man, they're good.
And
But
then you hit elite that day, so hey, nugs over drugs.
nugs over drugs, people. I mean, I think that about covers it for the carbs, the carb loading for me.
Yeah, man.
I
I'm done.
think I try to find more powerlifting, especially carb loading for meet days and stuff. But it seemed to me that all the articles and a lot of the science and data just kind of pointed to sports that weren't powerlifting,
Yeah.
and I don't know how much carb loading would actually help.
Like I said, I just don't think we're exasperating that much energy to where it matters.
Yeah, we're not going for that long.
Yeah, I'm not running 26, consecutive miles or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get through your glycogen storage.
I don't
Like,
think so either.
yeah, but As always on the Check My Total podcast, we're here to please you. We are for you and the people only. That's right, the American people and the people of the world. It's carb loading. Everyone's got their different carbs. Italians got the pasta and pizza and the pesco, and the people over there in the Asia got that chow mein. And here in America, we got that white bread. We got that apple. We got that cherry, that squash, and the zucchini. And those oats, the Quaker Man's coming for you. The Quaker Man's coming to meat day, people. You better bow down and put on your little nun cap, because that Quaker Man gonna be handing oats to everybody at the next competition you go to. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you learned something. If you don't agree with us, as always, DM us and send us some hate mail and get on the podcast and debate us, because talk is cheap and action's where it's at. You hear a lot of people talk the talk, but ain't no one gonna walk the walk. We'll see you on the next one.
We're out of here.
Up next is the IBP Carolina Christmas Classic in Spartanburg, South Carolina on December 7th. Gather up the reindeer, hop in your sleigh, and come on down. For more information and to register, go to ironboypowerlifting.com.
Please subscribe and thank you for listening. Be sure to follow @CheckMyTotal on Instagram for all the latest updates.